Hi, this is Mike Lohanian, Client Technology Specialist from Dell, and this is my review of the Dell Plus, a 27-inch 4K USB-C monitor, part number S2725QC. Before we start, I do want to mention, I do work for Dell. However, this is my personal channel. The opinions are mine and mine only. If I say something wrong, I own it. Before we get into the review, I just want to point out, I understand choosing a display these days is very difficult. It used to be just a few years ago, it was, what size I wanted to get, what resolution, and what price range did I have. Well, the technology has really exploded, and it can get pretty complicated. So in this video, I'm going to take that complicated technical jargon and spell it out in English, so you can make sure that this is the correct monitor for you. So let's dig in. So this is the Dell S2725QS, made to be seen and to be heard, and I'll explain that. So who's ideally this model targeting? I would say primarily the home entertainment market. Someone that's looking for an excellent quality display at an outstanding price. You could be a PC user, you can even be a Mac user. It does support the Mac OS. But also, you want to use this monitor for entertainment. Maybe you have a game console like a PS5 or a Chromecast that you also want to connect to this display. It is perfect for that, and I'll show you how that works. It is someone I want to work, I want to play, I want to stream, right? This is an ideal display for you. Some of the technical specs on this, and we'll dig in. It is a 27-inch IPS display. It is 4K, like I said, which is 3840 by 2160. It has a great refresh rate of 120 hertz. The response time is 4 milliseconds response time. It's a 1500-to-1 contrast ratio with a TUV Eye Comfort 4-star certification. I have excellent speakers in this. It's one of the outstanding things. A lot of times monitors don't even have speakers anymore. These speakers are excellent. They've got dual 5-watt speakers down here at the bottom. You have upstream ports, you have downstream ports, which I'll explain what it is. But enough of the technical jargon. Let's get into the display and see what it can do. So your first experience with this display is going to be a pleasant one. Putting it together. We do an excellent job of making this easy. You don't need any screwdrivers, you just need your fingers. And you'll start with the stand. You really have 3 pieces to the stand when you start out. You've got this nice, sturdy, heavy base. You've got the arm, and then you've got the mounting plate. Now, what's nice about this display is it does have VESA mounts. So if you don't want to use the stand, you can hook this to an arm. It does have the mounts for being able to do it to the arm. But let's start with the stand here. So I've got the 3 pieces to the stand. The first thing you're going to notice when you get this is I've got capacitive screws, so they don't come out, but they got little thumb screws on there that I just attach the bottom to it. And then I just start, gotta get in there square. And then I'm just gonna screw that in until it gets tight. And there we go. And then I take the same thing with the top. And again, I've got that thumb screw in there. And this goes in. And again, I just tighten that up. So I got that in there tight. And then all I do is put the front, you got 2 little kind of teeth like there that go in, and you'll go down and you'll hear it snap. Right? And now I've got the stand connected. This is where you'd be lifting out of the box. You don't even have to take it out of the box to do this. So now I've got the stand up, and if I turn it around, you can see I kind of have an open bay back here, and that's where this piece comes. And what's nice, I've got ports here and also have ports underneath here. So I talked about hooking your PC up to it and your game console or your Chromecast. You generally hook your PC down here and your console or your Chromecast here. And what's nice about it is I can actually, let me turn around here, take this little panel, and it goes in and makes it nice and clean. So you don't see any of those cables. So if something like maybe this is exposed to the back, you won't have all those cables all messed up here. And then finally, you've got this little half ring piece, and that is really for cable management. And what you'll want to do is snap it on there so you can run our cables down through it. Now, I do want to note that this is a very ergonomic monitor, and if you start moving that monitor around, I would suggest you take this off before you do it and then put it back on. And what do I mean by, this is an ergonomic display? It does have height adjustment, right? So it goes from 130 millimeters, about 5 inches, a little more than 5 inches, up and down. It swivels. It tilts. I can tilt forward, and then as well as it pivots. So if I want to go portrait mode versus landscape, I can do it the other way as well. Now, I do want to note, when you do that, I'm going to turn this sideways. I've got it tilted like this, it won't fit. So what you want to do is tilt it forward and then make that turn. Why would you do it in this method? Well, if you were doing coding, right? A lot of coders like it because they can get a lot of code lines. But I'm going to tell you about 90% of the people why having portrait mode is so awesome is because it's very easy for me to get to the ports. I don't have to have this thing, if I was in this mode and trying to reach under and find those ports, well, now I have them all exposed to me that I can see them. So other thing I do want to show you is the joystick. I talked about that joystick here. And when you're working on it, you can actually put your hands behind there. It's like, oh, here it is. It is, it's like a joystick. You can put your finger on it, you can feel it move it left, right, up, and down. So let me go on this side. As you see it, if I press it, what I'm going to get is the menus, and I can go up, left, right, through the menus. And sorry, I can't see the menus of what I'm seeing here. On it, but it makes it very easy to scroll through them. A lot of times you get monitors and they have like 4 buttons on the bottom. You're like, what's that button? Is that left? Is that right? Is that enter? Is that escape? This little joystick is wonderful. Again, you don't have to search for it. You just feel back there, and it's very comfortable to go through all the menus on your display. And the other thing you're going to notice from back, and this is kind of the texture on this. It's a really nice look to it. I like this white appearance, but we've got these kind of lines, and I know you really can't see it that well here, but as visually as I can see it, you can see it looks really nice. Kind of inspired from, you ever see that kind of like that Japanese sand raking, kind of Zen type of kits that you can get and rake. That's really what this is inspired on, kind of that rake feel of these lines down it. So very, very nice. Nice back end to the display itself. That's a little bit put together. Let's take a look at some of the port locations. So let's take a look at the ports underneath the display. So first thing I'm going to take a look at, and this is typically where you would hook your main PC. I've got an HDMI 2.1 port here, and I'd have a USB-C upstream port with 65 watt power delivery. And why is this important? I said a lot here with power delivery and upstream. So typically you would take this, hook this to your notebook or Mac, and that connection there is what we call an upstream. So when I hook my PC or Mac to it, it is looking up to the monitor for all the additional ports that I have on here. Now, a lot of the ports on here are downstream ports. That means those ports look down to the PC itself. So say on one of the USB ports that I have up top, I wanted to put, say, a keyboard dongle on there. When I hook my PC to it, it will then connect to that mouse and keyboard. Or if, say, I want to put a camera or something that, any of the ports that I put on here that are downstream will go to the PC then, so you don't have to sit there and plug all these cables. It acts a little bit, and I'm not going to say a lot like a hub, there's more to a hub, but very similar to a hub. So I do have that port there. So typically you would use that. But if you don't, you can use that HDMI port. But if I do the HDMI port, I do not get the power delivery to my notebook like I would with the USB-C port here. Also, you can see this is actually the button to unlatch the display from the stand. I've got my power here, and also have a lock for a Kensington lock. Now, this is a little bit harder to see, and I'll go up here. This is, let me see if you guys can see that. Yep, somewhat good. What I've got here are some additional ports. I've got a port here, which again is a HDMI 2.1, and I have a USB-A with 15 watt power delivery to it. It's a USB-A 3.2 Gen 1 port on this display. So if you think about it, if I want to do a Chromecast, I could do my Chromecast here and connect it in with power, or if I want to put my game console, this is a great place to put it and have my PC hooked below. We also have some I think is some great ports. Let me turn it sideways again so you can see it. Underneath this carriage here, I actually have pop-out ports. Looking at the display, right? And say you want to charge your phone or connect something to the monitor. Getting underneath there is hard, but now I can just press that button and it will drop down, and now I've got another USB-C upstream port and a USB-A, and both those will supply up to 15 watts of power to the device. If you want to charge your phone, for instance, that would be a great place to go. Okay, let's dig in a little deeper into some of the terms that you're hearing, the technologies they're building that are built into this display, and I will, kind of translate it to you and what it means. I mean, to start off, we said, this is a 27-inch display. That 27 inches measured from corner to corner. So when you compare it even to a 24-inch display, you think, it's only a few more inches. It's actually quite a bit larger. 27-inch to me, and I get to play a lot of displays, but I think that is a great size. Anytime you go smaller than that, I don't know, I think you're getting cheated. I think it's a lot of real estate to be able to do work and even split the display into kind of two displays and keep it in at one. When you say 4K, which is 3840 by 2160, what we're saying there is down the bottom, there's individual little pixels that make the image. So we're saying there's 3,840 pixels running along the bottom, and as you go up, that's 2,160 pixels up. So if you do that math, you times them together, this whole display being 4K has 8,294,400 pixels, individual pixels in here. That's how you get that great image. Now, I also said it as an IPS, right? And this is something that's like, well, IPS, but I've also heard, all different other types of terms. Typically, IPS is really great because it has wide viewing angles, so you don't have to be straight on it. You can be looking from the side and you can still see it. The color accuracy on this is excellent, and quite frankly, IPS displays tend to last longer than other displays, so it really meets that nice balance. Now, you'll also see in the industry, sometimes you'll hear it's like a 27-inch VA display or a TN display. Typically those are lesser qualities. Now there is some argument because there are some positives to VAs and TN displays, but in general they're lesser quality than an IPS display. So I always say kind of watch out for that. Now I talked about it earlier, it has 120 hertz refresh rate. So you talk about the image that's on the display, and what that means is that for every second this display gets refreshed, the image gets refreshed 120 times. So if I have say a 60 hertz display, that's 60 times per second. 120 times per second. And remember I talked about the game console, say like a PS5 hook into it. Why that's important is that matches the frame rate of a PS5. So it is excellent for that console gaming. Now, if you're into hardcore like PC gaming, 120 is good, but it's not like a varsity level esports level. You can kind of go all the way up to almost, gosh, one of the Alienware displays we have 500 hertz. But that 120 hertz is excellent for viewing. Say I've got my Chromecast on there viewing TV, and it's excellent because it's compatible with that PS5 refresh rate. The other thing that you'll hear that's a little confusing is response time. You'll see something like 8 milliseconds or less. This one has a 4 millisecond response time. So remember that 8 million plus pixels I talked about in here? That is how fast each individual pixel can turn on off. So the refresh rate is how many times the whole image can be done. The response time is how fast each individual pixel can change colors. And the best analogy I've been able to come up with is, think of the refresh rate as being like a drill sergeant, right? Giving out orders. And 120 hertz would say that drill sergeant can give out 120 commands every second. The response time is like that individual soldier and how fast they can respond to that command in milliseconds. So we're not even talking seconds, milliseconds. So 4 milliseconds means when that drill sergeant says, do a push-up, that's how fast that individual soldier can do that push-up. To me, the refresh rate is more important than the milliseconds of the response time because, again, we're talking seconds versus milliseconds. But, when you start technically looking at it, that 4 milliseconds is really great, especially at that 120 hertz refresh rate because it holds the frames together. Now, what does that mean, right? I talk about that refresh rate and the response time. It's all about getting rid of this jerkiness in a video image. So say something goes across the screen and when you look at it, say something with a low refresh rate, you'll see it kind of stagger, and that does cause, kind of strain on your eye. And if you're playing games, it's, it's harder to focus on a spot. Say if you're playing a third person shooter game, it's harder to concentrate and be able to target somebody with that. So that refresh rate is important. That's a decent refresh rate for this display, especially for entertainment. I also talked about eye care, better for your eyes. This display actually has a 4-star TÜV certification. So what is going on with displays? Prior to a few years ago, you really had no choice. It was just the display, and yeah, your mom was right. You sitting too close to the TV and it's going to damage your eyes. Well, we've kind of known that with displays that they admit, Blu-ray or color blue, and that is a very, I shouldn't say damaging, but it causes strain on your eye. And if you look at the spectrum of colors and why a blue is so, gives you that irritation in your eyes, is because it is a high frequency rate. It's right on the edge of the spectrum. So you think of different waves with light. This is a very tight one. And in fact, a lot of the blue light you can't see. The problem is your eyes can't filter that blue. So what happens is I'm staring at a screen that goes, into my eye, and that's what causes the irritation. And for some people, over time, will actually damage your eye. So a few years ago, we started addressing that blue light and reducing it. And then TÜV came out with a certification and gave it different levels, a 3-star, a 4-star, and a 5-star. And what a 5-star represents is it has to, at minimum, have a 75 hertz refresh rate. So we've got ourselves 120, so we check the box there. The hardware-based blue light, we have to filter out, at a minimum, it has to be 35% or less of that harmful Blu-ray, or that blue light out of the display. So we meet that. And then it has to say, well, I'm taking out the color of the blue, I want to take out just those ones that are harmful and not affect the color quality of this display. So it has to have an sRGB rating of 95% or better. And this one does. This is a 97% sRGB color gamut. Like, Mike, what the heck does that mean? So, and I'll put this up here on the screen. Back in 1931, a group of people kind of mapped out what are all the visible colors the human eye can see. And, it's kind of that funny chart there. And what sRGB is, it's a standard, and it basically says, here's a triangle of colors. And within this triangle, how much percentage can those colors be represented on this display? So when I say, it's 95%, you can see 95% of the colors that are in that box. Now there are also higher standards. DCI-P3 is kind of a newer one coming out. So if you say, how much is that percentage, is how much within that triangle itself. So we make we get all three of those check marks, and that's what gives us saying a 4-star certification. And trust me, we all know it, right? You work all day or you're watching streaming, you can feel that effects on your eyes. And this is really giving you a lot of comfort, giving you reassurance that you're not damaging your eyes on this display. Well, thanks for watching my review of the S2725 QC display. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I've got other videos of our displays from Dell on my channel, so check those out as well. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section. I'll try to get them to as fast as I can. Again, this is Michael Ohanian, Client Technology Specialist from Dell.